F-15 Eagle, the most gangsters fighter jet of all time. Is it true or not? Let's see. Let's go. Let's react.
Today we're talking about the most gangster fighter jet of all time, the F-15 Eagle.
Man, take a look at this. This is beautiful. Ooh, wow. I mean, how did Americans went from Wright brothers trying to convince people that they can create planes to creating these double-deck planes, and in the end not in the end, but in the middle we have this beautiful piece of art, and in the same time it's a deadly weapon. How?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the American muscle car equivalent of a fighter jet. Developed during the Cold War in the early 1970s, it was designed to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to establish air superiority. And being that this was the 1970s and stealth technology wasn't going to come out for another decade, Uncle Sam had to rely on good old-fashioned horsepower and gunpowder. He figured if you couldn't be sneaky enough to go unnoticed, you just had to be fast enough to go untouched. And that is exactly what they did with the F-15, because it is equipped with two Pratt & Whitney F-100 engines, totaling 19,200 horsepower, which is like 800,000 water chickens.
Listen, I don't know much about horsepower. Maybe you can explain me. Somebody in comment section, somebody competent, please, because I know about kilometers an hour, and yeah, but this is not related to the engine's power. Okay, I understand this. But listen, 1900 miles per hour. This is crazy. 3,500 kilometers per hour, man. This is what? This is so fast that I can not imagine even. I mean, literally, this plane can fly from Florida to Europe for 1 hour. 1 hour, Carl.
Plane can travel at a max speed of Mach 2.5, which is roughly 1,900 miles an hour. And here's the kicker. It's not just fast, it's quick. And if you don't know the difference, I'll elaborate. You can build up speed slowly and be fast. But being quick is the ability to be fast in a hurry. And the F-15 is like a drag car. It is fast the minute you hit the throttle. So fast, in fact, that you can argue that it could be classified as a rocket. Okay, hear me out. I'm going to nerd out for a second. Generally speaking, aircrafts need to do two things to fly. They need to generate lift and thrust. They need to generate enough lift to counteract gravity, so the physical weight of the aircraft, and they need to generate enough thrust to counteract drag. But here's the thing with the F-15, it has a greater than 1 thrust to weight ratio, meaning that it can generate enough pounds of thrust to offset drag and the weight of the aircraft, meaning it doesn't need to generate lift to sustain flight, which is what a fucking rocket does. If you're
Listen, it was very interesting, but I didn't understand. I think he said, I'm not so smart to understand, but that was very interesting to dive into the airplane, how the airplane works, you know.
not picking up what I'm putting down. I'm trying to tell you the F-15 doesn't need to generate lift. It can just beat the atmosphere into submission. The F-15 could literally have its wings chopped off in mid-flight and it would still be able to fly. And I can already hear the comment section now. Buh! The chubby electron guy's so dumb he needs to go back to high school physics class. That's not how any of this works. Buh. No, that's exactly how this works. And guess what? If you don't want to believe me and what's theoretically possible on paper, you don't have to, because this has already happened in real life. In 1983, an F-15 had a mid-air collision, completely lost one wing, and then proceeded to fly 10 more.
Listen, he doesn't have a wing, man. You kidding me? This is crazy. How crazy. Americans create a plane that can fly without wings? Or they just they took a rocket and they put wings on a rocket?
Miles and then land safely. Okay, and if that's not enough proof that it's basically a rocket, you can look at how an F-15 takes off. I'll show you the footage. The minute it clears the runway, it goes straight vertical and breaks the sound barrier. It is one of the only planes on the planet that can do that.
Man, this is impressive. Ooh, wow, even here it hits hard. It hits hard. I'm curious, was there any flyovers with F-15 Eagles? Because imagine just like 5 F-15s flying over a huge stadium where there's like 100,000 people. That would be mad. I mean, the acoustics would be mad.
Well, even if it is that fast, common sense dictates that they had to make a bunch of design compromises, and I bet the F-15 has hardly any firepower because of it. Buh. You know what? For once, you're right. That is what common sense would dictate, because that's what every other country does. If they want to go really fast, they either have to sacrifice firepower or maneuverability. However, here's what you're not taking into consideration. This is America. We don't make cents. We make dollars, and this thing has more firepower than any other fighter jet in the American fleet. Yeah, more.
Listen, man, I love it. We don't make sense. We make money. G unit.
More bombs, more missiles, and on the off chance that isn't enough, it's also equipped with an M61 Vulcan 20mm Gatling cannon in case it needs to tell somebody to get fucked at 6,000 rounds per minute.
Listen, Gatling guns are so scary. They are super old. I think Gatling gun was invented during the American Civil War. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this gun is so scary. It just spits fire, man. It just spits fire. I wouldn't like to be on another end of the Gatling gun. No way, Jose. Man, this sound...
So just so we're all on the same page, even though the F-15 is over 50 years old, it is still the fastest and most heavily armed fighter jet in the American fleet. And did I mention that it can also go like 3,000 miles without needing to refuel? Meaning that it's also extremely versatile logistically speaking, because it can fly from America to Europe without needing aerial refueling. And here's the kicker, none of that is the reason it's the most gangster fighter jet of all time. It's the most gangster fighter jet of all time because this thing is the epitome of a pro gamer move. It has a real world combat record of 104-0. It is downed 104 enemy aircrafts and been shot down 0 times in return. It is the only aircraft to lose a wing, continue flying, and land safely. It's the only aircraft to ever shoot down a satellite while it was still in outer space. Yeah, America did that during the Cold War. We shot down one of our own spy satellites to send a message to the Soviet Union that we could do it to their satellites too. And
this is crazy. Imagine satellite they are in orbit, right? Flying in orbit. So these planes went close as possible and just shot a rocket. Man, this is... Well, if I would be on another end, let's be honest, I would be scared. Yes, to know that my enemy, you know, has these kind of planes. This is scary.
Personal favorite, it is the only aircraft to ever score an air-to-air kill using a bomb. Not an air-to-air missile, a bomb.
How's that possible?
Yeah, in 1991 during Desert Storm, it actually hit a moving Mi-24 Hind helicopter with a GBU-10 bomb. Yeah, what? This one.
Literally, imagine what precision you need to have to drop a bomb on a helicopter, man. I mean, this is some kind of Battlefield 2 stuff, you know. You need to count your speed, the speed of the helicopter, the speed of dropping the bomb. The precision needs to be so tight. Man, this is crazy. Show me the pilot. Probably pilot was some kind of genius of our world.
That is a 2,000-pound general-purpose bomb, and it just hit a moving helicopter with it. That is absolutely unheard of. In conclusion, while the F-15 is no longer the best fighter jet on the planet because it's been replaced by the F-22 Raptor, I feel pretty confident in saying that it will go down in history as the greatest fighter jet of all time. And that history is still being written because America is coming out with another F-15, the F-15EX Eagle II. And that's going to have to be its own video some other time. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
I think Americans surprised the world with this plane. As I said before, I'm really curious how was it possible to went from like 2-deck planes to this Predator in the sky, which flies like a rocket. I think Americans just saw like a rocket and they think, okay, let's make it a plane. Let's make it. Let's put the wings on it and then make it. Put a pilot into it. Listen, the rocket. That's why it has such a great statistics. You know, 104 to 0. 0 times shut down, man. How can you shoot down that you cannot catch? This is a question for you, my dear viewers. All right, thank you for watching and see you next reaction videos. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notification, and also have a nice day.